Welcome back to Movie Bite. Meet Dr. Ryland Grace. One moment he's belting out "I'm Just Ken" on the Oscars stage, the next he's drifting through the cold void of space, carrying the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. But there is a problem. Actually, there are two. I have never done anything like this. I have never even attempted a spacewalk. I cannot even moonwalk. He's no astronaut, and the two crewmates who were supposed to guide him through this impossible mission never made it. They perished along the way, leaving the fate of the entire world resting in the hands of one unqualified, terrified man. This is the story and ending explained for Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and written by the very same mind who once made Matt Damon survive on Mars by eating potatoes. But before we go further, we have to ask, what exactly pushed humanity to the edge of extinction? The answer is chilling. The sun itself is dying, and it is not alone. Every star across the galaxy is fading. The culprit is a microscopic alien organism known as Astrophage, a name that translates directly to Star Eater. Silently and relentlessly, it is devouring our star's electromagnetic radiation, draining its light and plunging it into slow, creeping darkness. The projections are terrifying. In under 30 years, Earth's temperature is expected to plummet 10 to 15 degrees, triggering a new ice age, igniting global political chaos, and starving a quarter of the world's population to death. The stakes have never been higher. Yet in the middle of this catastrophe, one star refuses to dim: Tau Ceti. Even the greatest scientific minds on the planet cannot explain why it remains untouched. And so, born out of desperation, comes Project Hail Mary. Three-person mission sent to unravel this mystery once and for all. If humanity can discover why Tau Ceti has been spared, perhaps that same secret can save our own dying sun. But there is a brutal catch. This star sits 11.9 light-years away, a distance so vast it turns the mission into a one-way ticket. To make matters worse, humanity does not even possess a ship capable of covering such staggering speed and distance. That is, until scientists uncover something extraordinary. The very organism destroying their sun can be harnessed to propel a spacecraft at unimaginable speeds. Using newly engineered technology called a spin drive, they unlock enough power to complete the journey in just 3 years and 9 months. But there is a haunting twist buried in the science. Because of time dilation and Einstein's theory of relativity, while the crew experiences only 3 years and 9 months back on Earth, 13 years will have already slipped away. Which means, even in the most perfect scenario, even if the crew somehow finds a way home, 26 years will have passed on Earth by the time they return. It is impossible not to feel the eerie echo of Interstellar here. When we first lay eyes on Dr. Grace, he seems almost painfully ordinary, just a middle school science teacher. So the question lingers, how could someone teaching children in a classroom possibly hold the knowledge required to save all of humanity? The answer arrives in the form of Ava Strat. As the former administrator of the European Space Agency, she now commands the International Task Force, the group tasked with confronting the Astrophage crisis head-on. Ava is not searching for an ordinary scientist. She wants someone unconventional, someone willing to defy accepted scientific truth without hesitation. And in Dr. Grace, she finds exactly that. He is a man who was practically exiled from the scientific community after publishing a paper that dared to challenge the long-held belief that all life requires water to exist. It is this very stubbornness, this refusal to accept conventional limits, that Ava desperately needs if there is any hope of stopping Astrophage. But before they can stop it, they first have to understand what it truly is. Early in the film, working with samples secured by Ava, Dr. Grace makes a staggering discovery. Astrophage is a single-celled alien life form, undeniable proof that life exists beyond Earth. This organism has been feeding off the sun, storing energy so it can eventually migrate to a planet rich in carbon dioxide, the exact environment it needs to reproduce. And chillingly, there is a planet in our own solar system perfectly suited for that purpose, Venus. This also explains why Astrophage completely bypassed Mercury, despite it being far closer to the sun. On screen, a glowing infrared trail reveals what scientists call a Petrova line, named after its discoverer, Dr. Irina Petrova. This line traces the exact path Astrophage follows as it travels from the sun toward its breeding ground on Venus. Dr. Grace, as it turns out, was never meant to be on this ship. The original crew consisted of pilot Yao Li Jai, engineer Olija Ilyukina, and scientist Martin Dubois. But mere days before launch, tragedy strikes. Dr. Martin and his backup are both killed in a devastating explosion, leaving no time to train a replacement. With no other option, Dr. Grace, the only person alive who holds the necessary knowledge, is thrust into the role. A role that is, in truth, a suicide mission since there's no possible way back. The film unfolds in a fractured nonlinear structure, weaving together past and present through a haunting series of flashbacks. This very structure is what conceals Dr. Grace's deepest flaw. He is a coward. He does not believe in his own worth. So when he refuses to accept the mission, Ava, left with no other choice, has him. forcibly captured and placed into an induced coma against his will. He is going on this mission whether he consents or not. He will awaken years later, his memory of the events leading to his capture completely erased. Only in the film's final, gripping act, when his true courage finally surfaces, does that lost memory come flooding back, revealing that he was brave all along, even when he could not see it in himself. As Yao chillingly puts it, sometimes all you need is someone to be brave for, a line that quietly foreshadows the bond Dr. Grace is about to form with an unlikely companion. But before that bond can form, it is important to understand something devastating. Grace has no family, no friends, absolutely no one waiting for him. He has nothing to be brave for. But when he finally arrives in the orbit of Tau Ceti years later, he finds himself just as isolated as he was back on Earth. And it is there in the endless silence of space that Grace stumbles upon an alien spacecraft. Through a series of tense, uncertain, and unexpectedly funny exchanges, he makes first contact with an alien being he names Rocky, a fitting name given the creature's stone-like appearance and Grace's love for the Sylvester Stallone film of the same name. Rocky belongs to a species called the Eridians, originating from Erid, a high-gravity, ammonia-rich world entirely unlike our own. The Eridians are intelligent, rock-like, five-legged beings, completely blind, who communicate through musical tones and navigate using sonar. Grace, determined to connect with him, builds software capable of translating Rocky's tones and vibrations into understandable English. We also see Rocky sealed inside a protective quarantine shell, the only way he can safely enter Grace's ship, since the human environment inside would otherwise be lethal to him. Just like humanity, the Eridians are watching their own star collapse under the same devastating force. In response, they launched their own version of Project Hail Mary, sending Rocky alongside 22 fellow Eridians on a desperate mission of their own. But the Eridians made one catastrophic miscalculation. They failed to account for radiation exposure. Their home world, Erid, is almost entirely shielded from radiation, thanks to its powerful magnetic field and dense atmosphere. Because of this, the Eridians had never even encountered the concept before. And there is something the film never explicitly states: Rocky and his crew were, in fact, the very first Eridians to ever leave their planet's orbit. Space itself was an unknown, unforgiving frontier to them. So when their long journey to Tau Ceti finally reached its end, every single crew member perished from radiation exposure, everyone except Rocky. But why did he survive? As the ship's engineer, Rocky spent nearly all of his time stationed near the engine room, a room powered, just like the human vessel, by astrophage. Unknowingly, the massive fuel tanks in the astrophage itself formed a natural radiation shield, protecting him while the rest of his crew were left completely exposed to lethal cosmic rays. As the film progresses, Grace and Rocky develop a bond that grows increasingly heartfelt, even undeniably endearing. Together, they trace astrophage back to its source, a nearby planet they name Adrian, a quiet nod to Rocky's beloved partner from the Stallone films. They theorize that somewhere within Adrian's atmosphere lurks a natural predator capable of consuming astrophage, and to test this theory, they launch a perilous mission to retrieve a sample. If they can successfully capture even a fragment of this predator, there is a chance it could be replicated to halt astrophage's assault on both of their dying suns. Descending into Adrian's violent atmosphere, they release a 5-kilometer-long tether ending in a collection sphere, hoping to prove their theory correct. This becomes the film's most harrowing sequence, as Grace is forced to leave the safety of the ship to retrieve the sample himself, all while the vessel teeters on the edge of catastrophic failure, threatening to burn apart as it plunges deeper into Adrian's atmosphere. Grace manages to make it back aboard with the sample intact, but the ordeal leaves him unconscious, and the ship itself is seconds from destruction. This is the moment Rocky delivers his first great sacrifice. Breaking free from his own quarantine capsule, risking his life in the process, he manually corrects the ship's course and saves Grace. When Grace finally regains consciousness, he finds Rocky teetering on the edge of death, and he has no idea how to save a creature made of stone. Even in this desperate moment, Grace cannot abandon the mission. He tests the retrieved sample and confirms it. There truly is a predator that feeds on astrophage. He names it Taumoba, a fusion of Tau Ceti and the word amoeba. As time passes, Rocky slowly recovers from his injuries, and in doing so, he learns a devastating truth that unlike his own journey home, Grace's mission was never meant to bring him back at all. In yet another act of pure selflessness, Rocky sacrifices a portion of his own fuel so that Grace might finally have a chance to return home. The cost is steep. It will delay Rocky's own journey by 6 additional years, but it means Grace could actually survive to see Earth again. With heavy hearts, the two prepare to part ways, each carrying a precious sample of Taumoba meant to save their respective worlds. Sealed inside specially crafted xenonite containers built by Rocky himself. But just 1 month after their emotional farewell, Grace makes a horrifying discovery. The Tau Moba have evolved, and they are now breaking free of their xenonite containment. If they escape completely, they could devour his entire fuel supply, leaving him stranded forever in the depths of space. In a desperate move, Grace shuts down life support and floods the ship's interior with nitrogen, successfully killing the escaped Tau Moba and safely containing the rest inside reinforced metal containers where they cannot break free again. But then comes the horrifying realization: what about Rocky? His Tau Moba are certain to escape too, and he has absolutely nothing capable of containing them, a fate that will leave him drifting alone in space, slowly starving, while his entire home planet faces certain death. Grace is forced into an impossible choice: stay the course and finally return to the Earth he has fought so hard to see again, or sacrifice everything to save the one true friend he has left. And in stark contrast to the fearful, selfish man we met back on Earth, the one who once refused this very mission, Grace makes a completely different choice. He selflessly turns back to save Rocky, launching probes carrying the precious Tau Moba samples and detailed instructions toward Earth, while he himself ventures deeper into space to be with his friend. Years later, back on Earth, the film reveals a lone cargo ship drifting through a vast, frozen expanse. We are never told exactly where this location is, but given how many years have passed under Astrophage's dimming grip on the sun, this frozen wasteland may very well be what remains of most of Earth's oceans. It is also entirely possible that this remote, icy region was chosen deliberately, perhaps the safest place left for Ava and her team to continue their work, especially considering the very real possibility that the rest of the world has already descended into war. We watch as the probes successfully reach Earth, carrying with them every one of Grace's recorded video logs, which Ava watches with quiet, overwhelming relief. Despite the drastic, unforgivable measures she once took to force Grace onto that ship, she never once stopped believing in him, even in the moments he could not believe in himself. Now, at long last, the real work can begin, the painstaking effort to reverse the damage Astrophage inflicted on both the Sun and the Earth. According to the original novel, the Sun is indeed capable of returning to its original brightness. Meanwhile, light years away on the alien world of Erid, Grace slowly opens his eyes. The Eridians, in an act of remarkable compassion, have constructed an entire biodome, designed to recreate an Earth-like environment, allowing him to live among them. We even see him standing before a class of young Eridian students, teaching them just as he once taught human children back home. He seems in no hurry whatsoever to return to Earth, and even though he technically possesses both the scientific knowledge and possibly the Eridian resources to attempt the journey back, the question remains, would he even want to? He has no family left waiting, no friends to return to, and by the time he could possibly make it home, everyone he ever knew would already be gone. In the novel, 16 years pass before Grace finally learns the truth, delivered through the Eridian astronomy hive, that Earth's sun has fully returned to its original luminance. This confirms that the probes he sent home did in fact arrive safely, and that Tau Moba succeeded in stopping Astrophage from consuming the sun. Beyond that single confirmation, Grace knows almost nothing else. He has no idea how many lives were lost, how deeply civilization was scarred, or what the recovering Earth even looks like now. But he holds on to one certainty: humanity survived. And for a film centered almost entirely around one lonely man and an alien companion, it is remarkably fitting how deeply the story reflects our own humanity. Not just our will to survive, but our capacity to look inward, to become selfless, and to find courage even when we believe we have none left. But now it is your turn. What did you think of Project Hail Mary? And if you were in Dr. Grace's position, would you sacrifice everything and journey into space to save humanity? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching Movie Bite, and be sure to like and subscribe for more.